Okay, good morning and afternoon and good evening to everyone who is tuning in. Hope you're doing well and staying safe. So, on behalf of Arab Guru, SEG Mansoura, SEG Tanta, AAPG Cairo, and Kunna Zayak Jayo, and SEG Suheg, I would like to welcome you all in our second session in the course of Shield Evaluation. I am Mirna Ahmed, who will be your moderator for today. Please don't forget to drop your question in the Q&A section. And now, let us welcome a warm welcome to Dr. Ahmed Algarhy. He is an assistant professor at Marietta College in Ohio, USA. Um, so, Dr. Ahmed,
Okay, you want me to start?
you can start.
Okay, thank you, Mirna, very much. Guys, before we start, I have three easy questions for you. So please give me answer for this question. So number one, you want the lectures in Arabic or in English or mix between them? And number two, do you speak and understand Arabic? Yes or no? Number three, do you want to have the new lecture on the next lecture on Monday or Tuesday? So you want tomorrow to be off, so tomorrow will be no lecture? Yes or no? So you want the next lecture to be Monday or Tuesday? So I believe some of you don't speak or understand Arabic, so we must do it in English. Okay. And I see more than 50% want to take tomorrow off, and we will come back and do the third lecture on Tuesday. Okay, so Mirna, please share this information with with the organization team that tomorrow
Okay.
there is no lecture tomorrow, and we will be we'll give the third lecture Tuesday at 8 p.m. Egypt time. Okay, so the remaining lecture will be Tuesday and Wednesday. Then Pietro Galli will work Thursday and Friday. Okay, good deal.
Okay.
Okay, so
let's start.
Yes, let me stop this poll. Guys, this is the second lecture in a short course titled Evaluation and Development of Shale. When we evaluate, most likely we discuss a lot of geology and a lot of petrophysics. When we develop, most likely we talk about hydraulic fracturing. So to have a very good understanding to shale gas or shale oil, you need to be good in geology and petrophysics, also in completion, which is mainly hydraulic fracturing. Okay, so last lecture, or lecture number one, we discussed the basics of the introduction to evaluation. Okay, and as a quick review, let me review very quickly. To evaluate, most likely I will ask for quad combo logs. Quad combo, I told you it is gamma ray, it is resistivity, it is density log, it is Newton log, it is sonic log. So I will do a group of 5 things and we call them quad. Why you call them quad? Quad means 4. So why they are a list of 5 and we call them 4? Because I will use Newton and density to get the porosity. So gamma ray, resistivity, porosity, and sonic, and now they are 4. So we call them quad combo. And this is a commercial name of the logs we will do to evaluate shade. But these 4 logs are not enough to evaluate shade. So we need to do some special logs. Okay, right now I'm discussing the evaluation period. Okay, so I need to do a geochem log to tell me the mineralogy, the chemical composition of the formation, of the shale formation. Okay, we call this log geochem log. Okay. Also, I need to do magnetic resonance imaging. Okay, so I will do NMRI log. Also, I will do a geochem log. So this is plus. These two are plus. What else I need to do? I need to do coring, full size coring. Okay, so quad combo, geochem log, NMRI log, full size coring. When you do the full size coring, you will ask two companies to join your team. One company will take small cores from that full size core and they will do rock mechanic testing. The second company, they will do something called pyrolysis testing. Okay, the pyrolysis testing company will measure the S1, S2, S3, and they will tell you this formation will produce oil or gas or condensate. Okay, the rock mechanic company will tell you this formation, what is a Young's modulus, what is a static Young's modulus, what is a Poisson's ratio, what is a UCS. Okay, so it will tell you something about the mechanical properties, and this is very important when we do fracking. Okay, so this is the summary of the evaluation. Okay, today I want to talk to you about a summary of development. So development mainly is hydraulic fracturing. Okay, and because I know many of you still in, let's say, in his or her first year or second year in Faculty of Science or Faculty of Engineering. So I believe you may know nothing about hydraulic fracturing. So it is not wise to tell you something complex about hydraulic fracturing without give you the basics of hydraulic fracturing. So today I will introduce you to hydraulic fracturing, and in lecture 3 and 4 we'll go in more depth in hydraulic fracturing and evaluating shape. Okay, so let's get it started. Okay, so hydraulic fracturing. So hydraulic fracturing, I consider it something like a medicine or something good we do to fix a problem, or even to get someone in a good health, but we want him to have better and more muscles. Like a healthy guy, but he want to do bodybuilding and we want to get better and bigger muscles. So this is similar to hydraulic fracturing. I have a well, and that will produce 500 barrels of oil every day, but I want this 500 to be 700 or 800. So I may recommend doing hydraulic fracturing for oil like that. Okay, and I will see what is the conditions to give this recommendation. Okay, so today I will explain to you what is formation damage, what is well stimulation, what is hydraulic fracturing, why we do hydraulic fracturing, and finally a general idea about hydraulic fracturing equipment and materials we are using. Okay, so it is easy to adopt this model. So you are a petroleum engineer, your job now is a doctor. You are a doctor. Okay, your reservoir is your patient. So look to my mouse. This little kid is a patient. He has a fever and he put like a thermometer in his mouth. So this patient is your reservoir. Okay, and you as an engineer, you are the doctor. You are the physician. Okay, and this little kid, for sure, he has a disease. He may get COVID, he may get a virus or bacteria, and now he's sick. Okay, so I need to know what is the name of the disease. Also, I need to know what is the symptoms of the disease. Are you coughing? Are you have a fever, or what? Also, I need to diagnose the disease. Maybe I will ask you to do some blood testing, or maybe I will ask you to do a scan or whatever. At the end, I will give you, as a doctor, I will give you the medicine. Okay, let's copy this for oil and gas. The petroleum engineer is a physician. is a doctor. Okay, your reservoir is your patient. You have a reservoir or a well, and that well used to produce 500 barrels a day. And today you find this 500 become 200 or 250. So your well lost 50% of the production. So for sure, your well now is sick, is not in a good health. So your job as a petroleum engineer, you need to figure out what is wrong with that well, and you need to write him a medicine. Okay? So during this lecture, I want you to explore with me what should be a disease may make a well production go down. Also, I want to ask you about the symptoms and diagnosis I may do for an oil or gas well. Also, I will ask you about what should be a good medicine for that. Okay, so let's start. So formation damage is a disease, and that disease has different reasons. Okay, and mainly whenever the formation damage, mainly it is something happened and that thing lowering the permeability. You are damaging the permeability. So the connections between the porosity inside your formation, these pores are connected together. Okay, and permeability will describe how easy the oil and gas will get produced, or how easy is this oil or gas moving inside the reservoir to reach the wellbore. Okay, so if anything wrong happened to this formation, and now the permeability is moving down, I will call this formation damage. So formation damage is a disease. Formation damage is something bad. Okay, so let's say I have a highway or a street, and the street filled with by cars, and all these cars are moving. And once, in a second or in a minute, one of these cars stop moving for any technical reason. Okay, so what will happen to that street? All cars behind this one will stop. Okay, imagine that two cars made a crash together, and now there is an accident. So all cars behind them will stop. Okay, so the hydrocarbon is moving inside your reservoir. So if any solids will precipitate or will, block a pore throat, all hydrocarbon behind this solid will stop. Okay, so the formation damage may occur at any formation. It may happen at any formation. Guys, formation means the layer that include the hydrocarbon. It is your reservoir. We call it a layer or formation or reservoir. Okay, so how to notice there is a problem happen? I will notice there is a loss of well performance. As I told you, this well used to produce 1,000 barrels every day. And today morning, I get a report that this well, instead of producing 1,000, it is producing 500 or 600. So it has 50% or 40% decline. Okay, I need to figure out what is the reason. Okay, so a formation damage may be due to plugging of pore throat. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Okay, so maybe I get a change in wettability. Guys, I will be happy if my reservoir is water wet. Water wet reservoir means the reservoir or the rock love to keep the water inside the reservoir and hate oil. So it will kick out the oil. So oil will go to the wellbore and I will produce it and get it to the surface. Okay. So changing the wettability by mistake, like if you have a reservoir is water wet and you injected a chemical or you did something wrong to the reservoir, and now the reservoir become oil wet, it means this reservoir will keep the oil inside the reservoir and it will produce water. And this is not what we want. We are petroleum engineers, not water engineers, right? Okay. Also, formation damage may occur at any time. similar to a disease you may get. Guys, I'm today healthy. I don't know what will happen to me tomorrow. Maybe I will become sick tomorrow. Maybe I will get flu or get cough or get COVID or get anything. Okay, so it may happen like a disease. I mean, the formation damage, like any disease we may get, it may happen at any time. Okay, also it can take uh, various periods of time. I may get this problem for one day and get it for 1 week. I may get it for 1 month. I may get it forever. Okay. So formation damage, it can be because of a simple or a single reason. Also, it may be because multiple things. Okay. I may get only one disease. But remember, let's say for old people, for example, you may have your dad or your granddad or or your mom. Whenever they get, let's say, above 50, they start getting a lot of disease. Let's say high blood pressure, diabetes, any other disease. So they have group of diseases. Okay, so for a reservoir or for a well, maybe we have the same situation. So I may get one type of formation damage. I may get a combination of 2 types or 3 types or 5 types. All these things may happen. Okay, but the general recommendation, please, it is always better to avoid formation damage than to treat. Guys, every day you go to your college, or every day you travel, your mom give you a phone call and ask you to wear, a good clothes that will keep you healthy, and she will take care of. You will not get any, let's say, cold or let's say flu or something like that. Okay, so it is better to stay healthy, and this is better than getting sick. And now we are trying to find you a doctor, or are trying to find you a medicine. So please try to keep your reservoir, try to keep your wells healthy without any type of formation damage. Okay. How to identify a formation damage? Now we have a formation damage. How to identify? One of your family is sick today. How you know that? You tell me, hey, he has a fever. I get the thermometer and I check the temperature, and his temperature is 39 Celsius instead of 37. Okay, so I use this thermometer to identify if there's something wrong with that guy or not. Okay, so I will notice my well is not producing as usual. So there is a loss of well performance. Okay, I can run a PLT, for production logging tool. The production logging tool, it is something I will send over a wire line, and it will go downhole, and it will tell you exactly what is going on downhole. Okay, so if there is any problem with the perforation, if there's any problem, if there's any problem with the tubing itself, you can see that using a PLT or production logging tool. Okay. Also, I can get a sample and see. Maybe I have a special type of scale. Scale is a deposit. Something will deposit in the tube and may plug the tube. Okay. So if I get a sample, I may know that type of scale. Also, I may get a sample and I notice there is sulfur-reducing bacteria. There's a bacteria love to, live at the bottom of injectors, water injectors, for example. Okay. Also, I may send a downhole video camera, which is a rare application, but we can do it. Why not? Okay. So these things, I may use any of them to identify that type of formation damage or the disease my well is having. Okay. So formation damage is not something measurable. It is not something I can measure. It is similar to something has a quality and you want to measure that quality, or lack of quality and you want to measure that lack of quality. Let's say you are telling me that you have a headache or you have a pain. So I know that you have a headache, but I don't know how severe is that pain or how severe is that headache. So I need to have a scale or a measure to know exactly that the headache I'm having is worse than the headache you have. So if I want to compare my pain with your pain, we need to have a scale for that, which is not something easy. Okay. So here in the United States, if you go and see a doctor and tell him, hey, I'm having a severe headache or having a pain in my arm and my chest, he will ask you on a scale from 0 to 10, tell me, how is your pain? If I'm not having any pain, I will say it is 0. If I have very bad pain and I cannot even sit down or sleep or talk, that I have a very bad pain in my head or my stomach, I will tell him, hey, the pain is 10. He tried to help me by giving me a scale, and now I'm trying to help him to explain how bad is the pain I'm having, because a doctor will write a medicine for me. Okay, so we invented a scale to measure formation damage, which is a skin factor. The skin factor is an equation or a measure to get that formation damage on a scale. So if you have a positive scan, it means you have a damage, a formation damage. If you have negative skin, it means you have improved in the production. Your well producing 1,000, and now the well producing 2,000, double. So the scan will be negative. So negative scan is something great, something good. Okay? Positive scan is something bad. 0 scan means there is no formation damage, there is no stimulation to the well, there is no enhancement to the production. I did nothing to the well. The well is healthy, but I did not touch it. So now the scan is 0. If you do a technique like hydraulic fraction to enhance productivity or to double your productivity, it means you will make the skin factor negative. If you have a positive skin factor, it means you have a formation damage, and positive here is bad, is something bad, and negative is something good. Okay, so look at the mouse. This is in the middle, this is the well bore. This red is the formation damage. A lot of solids are deposited inside the formation. I have a lot of deposits inside the formation, and these solids will stop the production, will lower the production. I will call this formation damage. Okay? This green part, also a formation damage, this invaded by solids. A common example, when we drill a well, I'm using a drilling fluid. This drilling fluid is water, and it has some weighing materials in it, some chemicals. So these chemicals or this material has some of it will precipitate inside the formation, and it will make a formation damage inside the formation. Okay, so mainly the most common source of formation damage is the drilling fluid itself. Okay, so I may do a hydraulic fraction like cracking or fracking or making this highway inside the formation. This is hydraulic fraction. Guys, I have the formation here. I will hit it with a hammer. Boom, I will crack it. I will make it 2 pieces. Okay, if you crack it, it will be more conductive to fluid. Okay, and these fluids is hydrocarbon and water. Okay, so making the hydraulic fracture is something great. We'll be happy to have this kind of hydraulic fracture, especially if you do it in the right application, like if you have a sandstone formation, for example. Okay, and here is the equation to show you the skin factor. I don't care about this equation. All what I wanted to remember that I will use this equation to calculate the skin factor. If I get positive value for S or for the skin, it means I have a formation damage. If I get a negative value for skin, it means I have stimulation or I have hydraulic fracture. Okay. Types of formation damage may be mechanical factors, maybe chemical factors. So any solids invasion because of drilling fluids or completion fluids or killing fluids, all these things I would consider it mechanical. Okay. Any chemical precipitations may happen due to a chemical reaction. I would consider this chemical factors or chemical reasons. Okay. So if I have solids inside the formation and these solids will move inside the reservoir from a place 1 to place B to place 2, but it will not get produced. It will not reach the wellbore. I will call this fines migration. So some clays or some solids like to travel from a place to a place inside the reservoir, but it will not get produced. Okay. If these solids will reach the wellbore, I will call this sand production. So I want you to remember the difference between fines migration and sand production. If the solid reaches the wellbore and get produced, I would call it sand production. If the solid moving from a place inside the reservoir to a neighbor place inside the reservoir without getting produced, I would call this fines migration. Okay. Let's go back to this picture again. So the physician or the doctor is a petroleum engineer. The patient is my reservoir. The disease is any type of formation damage. Any type of formation damage will be a disease. Okay. The symptoms may be a decline in production. Okay. Diagnosis may be noticing there is a loss of production, or maybe running PLT, or maybe getting a sample. So all these techniques I can use them to diagnose that there's a problem. And finally, the medicine or the remedy for that formation damage problem may be hydraulic fracturing, or maybe acidizing, or maybe acid fracturing. Today, I want to focus on hydraulic fracturing. So hydraulic fracturing is a medicine or is a remedy, something good we do to fix a production problem, or something good we do to increase a production of a well, hydrocarbon production of a well. Okay. Now let's discuss what is well stimulation. A lot of students get confused about simulation and the stimulation. Stimulation in Arabic means tahsin. Stimulation, tahsin. Simulation means muhakah. Okay, so simulation and stimulation, they are two different things. Okay, so well stimulation means a technique I will do to make the hydrocarbon production better. I want to increase or enhance my well productivity. So this technique, I will call it well stimulation technique. Well stimulation technique means hydraulic fracturing, or acidizing, or acid fracturing. Okay, so all these techniques, in some, if you apply them in the right for the right candidate, it may increase your production. Okay, so let's discuss what is well stimulation. Well stimulation is a well intervention technique, or we apply this on to increase production of hydrocarbons, so to increase the hydrocarbon production of a well. And whenever we say well stimulation, most likely I'm talking about hydraulic fracturing, or acidizing, or acid fracturing. Okay, so hydraulic fracturing, or acidizing, or acid fracturing, all of them considered medicines, or remedy techniques. Okay, let's talk about hydraulic fracturing, because hydraulic fracturing is the main, or the we use massive hydraulic fracturing to fracture shale and produce oil or gas from that shale. So hydraulic fracturing is very important to us. Okay, So hydraulic fracturing is a technique that I will inject frac fluid, and that frac fluid will go, to my formation in a high rate. This rate may be 20 barrels per minute, or maybe 30 barrels per minute, or maybe 35 barrels per minute, or maybe 60 barrels, or maybe 100 barrels per minute, based on the application you are doing. And this frac fluid includes a lot of chemicals. So it may have cross link, cross linker or breaker, or there's a lot of chemicals, and I will show you a list of these chemicals very soon. Okay. Also, I will use this powder with it. This powder called propellant. So this is different types of propellant. Okay. So we use this propellant mainly to keep the fracture open after you restart pumping. Okay. Look to the right. I have a vertical well. And here is a hydraulic fracture. Look to the mouse. I will perforate and inject the frac fluid, and I will break down the formation using this frac fluid. I will hammer the formation and break it using this frac fluid. Okay. Look to the left of the image of the picture. Here is a horizontal well, and I will try to fracture all the horizontal lateral. But the bad news, I cannot fracture all the horizontal lateral in one stage. The horizontal section maybe 5,000 feet, maybe 7,000 feet, maybe 10,000 feet. So there is no way to fracture all of that at the same time. Okay, so I need to fracture the horizontal section on a stages from this. We call this, look to the mouse. This is, we call this toe, and we call this part, we call it heel. Okay, very similar to your shoe or your foot. This is my fingers, but the fingers of in my foot, we don't call them fingers, we call them toes. Okay, so your foot has toes, and the back of your feet we call this heel. صوابع القدم والكعب. Okay, so this is, look to the picture. This is the heel. This is الكعب. This is the heel, and this is the toe. Okay, so I will start fracking from the toes here, near the toes. Then I will do this in one stage. Then I will do in a second stage and third stage and so on. Okay, watch this video, and I will continue after we finish. There are many formations with Let me increase volume. These own oil and gas reservoirs that are vertically drilled and stimulated using hydraulic fracturing to optimally recover these hydrocarbons. In this example, we show a well targeting 3 sandstone layers, although this number may vary in different oil and gas plays. Once the drill rig and other infrastructure is in place, a bit mounted on the end of the drill pipe begins drilling the well. The well is initially drilled to a designated distance below the deepest fresh water source near the surface. The pipe and bit are then removed, and surface casing is inserted into the hole. The casing is then secured into place by pumping cement through the casing and through the shoe at the bottom of the hole. The cement barrier and steel casing prevent any contamination of freshwater aquifers. Once the casing cement has set, drilling of the intermediate section of the hole continues by drilling through the wiper plug, shoe, and cement at the bottom of the wellbore and on toward the targeted zones. Throughout the drilling, a mixture called mud is pumped down into the well through the drill pipe. The
mud serves to keep the drill bit cool. It carries the cuttings to the surface and provides hydrostatic pressure, prohibiting formation fluids from entering the wellbore. As drilling approaches the depth of the first target zone, a technician called a mud logger is brought on location. He analyzes the cuttings, identifying the downhole lithology and any presence of hydrocarbons. As the well is being drilled, he provides real-time information to the company geologist and rig personnel. Once the bottom of the intermediate section is reached, the drill pipe and bit are again removed from the wellbore. And intermediate casing is inserted into the hole and connected to the surface casing. The intermediate casing is also cemented to secure the hole. The drill pipe and bit are again lowered back into the hole and drills through the wiper plug, shoe, and cement. Once total depth is reached, the drill pipe and bit are removed from the wellbore one last time. Next, a logging tool is lowered to the bottom of the well on a wire line. As the tool is pulled back up the entire length of the well, data is gathered to create an electric log. Once the well has been logged and deemed a commercial well, production casing is then inserted. As with the surface and intermediate casing, the production casing is also cemented into the hole. Back on the surface, the drilling rig is no longer needed. A temporary wellhead is installed, and the location is prepared for the service crews who will ready the well for production. The first of these steps is to perforate or perf the casing. A perforating gun is lowered by wire line to the lowest of the 3 target zones. An electrical current is sent down the wire line to the perf gun, setting off a charge which shoots holes through the steel casing, cement, and out a short distance into the target formation. The perf gun is then pulled out of the hole. The next step is to hydraulically fracture or frac the zone. Here, sand or other proppants are pumped into the wellbore under extremely high pressure. When the mixture reaches the target zone, the pressure forces it out through the perf holes and out into the sandstone formation, causing it to fracture. This creates a fairway connecting the reservoir to the well and allows the released oil to flow to the wellbore. Next, a bridge plug is placed inside the production casing, isolating the fracked zone. The hydraulic fracture process is then repeated for zones 2 and 1. Now that the frac process is complete, the plugs are drilled out and production tubing is lowered into the wellbore to reach each of the productive zones. Hydrocarbons can now flow simultaneously from each of the zones into the well. The next step is to install a permanent wellhead and other necessary surface equipment. Sometimes a pump jack is used to help bring the oil to the surface. The final step is to install and connect a pipeline to the well that will transport the oil to the nation's pipeline network. Wells that produce from several zones simultaneously result in greater cost efficiency and increased productivity.
Guys, this video, you can find it on YouTube, and there's a lot of other nice videos. You can find them on YouTube too. Okay, so look to this graph. In the x-axis, I have the time, let's say by minutes. Look to the mouse. Look to the mouse. This is time by minutes, and in the y-axis, this is the bottom hole pressure. So we have pressure in the y-axis and have time in the x-axis. Okay. So whenever you inject, the pressure, the bottom hole pressure was a pressure at the bottom of the wellbore facing the reservoir will keep increasing, go up, increasing until this point. Look to this point with a circle, with a red circle, then boom, the formation already broken. So this is the breakdown pressure. So now I have the formation is not one piece, it's 2 pieces. There's 2 parts now, okay? So you keep injecting after you break it, after you make it 2 parts, You keep injecting to this point. Then you stop injection here. So here is I stop injection. Okay. Then I will monitor the pressure decline until the reservoir will close. These two parts will close, return back again as one piece. Okay. At this point, we call this is a closure pressure, fracture closure pressure. Okay. Then I will keep monitoring and do what we call it well testing. Okay. So this is not our objective right now. I know that most of you did not get anything about well testing or things like that. But all what I want to tell you that I will inject water or frac fluid in a high rate, and I will build high pressure, and that pressure will crack or break down the formation. And after I stop pumping, the formation will return back again. So to avoid this situation, I will inject this sand. Sometimes we call it sand, sometimes we call it proppant. This sand will stay in the middle between the two parts of the fracture. And whenever the fracture will get close again, these things will stay in the middle. Let's say I'm trying to find something. Okay, so I want to put my two hands together, but I have something in the middle. I have this pencils and pen in the middle. Okay, so any fluid can leak between my hands. Make sense? Okay, so this is the function, or this is the objective of using this proppant or this sand. So the function of proppant is to keep the hydraulic fracture open after we stop pumping. Okay. So there's a lot of applications for hydraulic fracturing. I may use it to enhance productivity. I may use it for sand control. I may use it in, it may happen unintentionally in water flooding. I may use it for disposal. The objective of this lecture is not hydraulic fracturing. The objective is the hydraulic fracturing we are using in fracking shape. Okay, so I will not go deeper in this slide. Okay. Okay, so I want to answer an important question before we finish today's lecture. Why we do hydraulic fracturing? What is the reason that hydraulic fracturing will increase productivity? Okay, so this gentleman, his name is Henry Darcy. Henry Darcy he's a French guy. He was a civil engineer, and he get a project to design a fountain near Paris. A fountain, this is a little equipment that we have water get out of it. It is Nafura. Okay, so this guy was planning to design that fountain. So he did a lot of experiments. He get this tube, okay, and he start trying to get a relation between the injection rate of the water, with a cross-section area of the tube, with the length of the tube, with the viscosity of the tube, including the pressure difference between the two sides of the tube, the inlet and outlet. And he introduced something called permeability. The K is a permeability. Okay, so this negative sign, forget about it. This is just showing you the direction of the fluid moving from one side to another side. So Henry Darcy introduced an equation to get the relation between the rate, the injection rate or the production rate, has a relation between the rate with permeability, cross-section area, the delta P or the pressure difference, and also the viscosity of the fluid and the length of that tube. Okay, so look to the equation one more time. So if I ask you, Myrna, are you awake, or are you getting a nap right now? So Myrna, do you hear me?
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay, so look to this equation. I will give you an easy question. It is not a hard question. Look to this Q. This is the rate, maybe injection rate or maybe production rate. Okay.
Okay.
And look to this area, that A. So if I will increase that A, So I will make, if I will use bigger A, what will happen to Q? Q will increase too, right?
That will be increased, yes.
Yes. So if you increase A, Q will increase. So A is a contact area, and let's talk in oil and gas language. If you increase the contact area between your well bore or your well with the reservoir, you will get more production, more rate. This is what is written here. If you increase A, Q will increase. If you increase the contact area between your well and your reservoir, the production rate will increase. Let me show you. Look to this vertical well. Look to the mouse. Look to this vertical well. This gray layer, this is the formation, or the formation including the hydrocarbon. And this part, look to the mouse, please. This part, this is the intersection. Okay, so this is the contact area between the well, the vertical well, and the formation. Okay, so Myrna, I have a second question for you. Ready?
Okay.
So which one has more contact areas, this vertical well or this horizontal well?
Horizontal well.
So the horizontal well has more contact area because that horizontal section may be 10,000
Yes.
feet. Yes, correct. Thank you. So so if I ask Myrna why the horizontal well produce more than a vertical well, she should tell me because the contact area between the horizontal well and the reservoir more than the contact area in a case of a vertical well and a reservoir.
Yes, I will reach to multi-target in the reservoir.
Yes. So if you target, but here I'm focusing mainly on the contact area. So try to remember this. Try to remember this. Whenever you increase the contact area between the reservoir and the well bore, you will get more production. Okay. If you do hydraulic fracturing, look to the top picture. Here is a hydraulic fracturing. If you do hydraulic fracturing, now you are increasing the contact area more and more and more. So the hydraulic fracturing also will increase the contact area between the wellbore and the reservoir. Okay, so if I ask you why the hydraulic fracturing increase productivity, you should tell me because hydraulic fracturing will increase the contact area between the reservoir and the wellbore. Okay, what else? Give me a second reason. A second reason that the hydraulic fracturing bypassing the damage. Okay, some of you don't know what is the meaning of bypass. Okay, let me explain it. Everybody in Cairo, Egypt knows a Tahrir Square. Okay, so Tahrir Square, let's say it is very, very crowded because there is hundreds or maybe thousands of cars moving there every single minute, correct? So if you want to cross Tahrir Square in a very fast way, maybe I need to do a highway. I will do a bridge, and that bridge will be a highway at the top of Tahrir Square, and there is no traffic jam at the top of that, and I will make it very fast, similar to the desert road between Cairo and Alexandria, for example. Okay, or any new road when you go, let's say, from Cairo to Suez or whatever of these fast roads. Okay, so what I did was Tahrir Square. I did not remove the cars inside the square. I did not remove the cars. I did not organize the cars. I did not fix any broken car or any accident or any crash happened. I ignored all of that and I built my own street, my own highway, and now I can go from the top of Tahrir Square and not, has no contact with any of the cars at the square. Okay, so the Hydraulic fracture has a same idea. I will not fix any formation damage in the formation. Just I will create that highway, that very conductive pathway. This is a hydraulic fracture, and I will use it. And whenever the hydrocarbon reach this side or this part of fracture, immediately it will go to the wood. You got what I mean? So I will not remove any of this formation damage. Just I will make a new way, new conductive way from deep inside the formation or deep inside the reservoir to the wellbore. So I can get any hydrocarbon from deep inside the reservoir. I will get it quickly and fast to the wellbore and get it produced. This is by hydraulic fracturing. Okay, so hydraulic fracturing will increase contact area between reservoir and wellbore. This is number one. Number two, hydraulic fracturing will bypass the formation damage and it will make a very conductive path from the reservoir to the wellbore. This is why we use this expression, fracture conductivity. W, this is the fracture width times the permeability of the fracture, the permeability of the propellant I'm using inside the fracture. Okay. Now let's discuss some equipment and material. Guys, please, if you have any questions, please leave it in the Q&A section and Myrna will ask them at the end. Okay. So let me show you some equipment. In this picture, you see a lot of pumps. This red trucks, big trucks, they are pumps. Each truck has a pump in the back. Okay, whenever you see this red color, which company is it? So Myrna, do you know which company is it? Which company is red? Do you know, Myrna? It's not a problem if you don't know. You're still student.
Please ask the question again.
Whenever you see this red color, this is Halliburton. Whenever you see the blue color, this is Schlumberger.
Yes.
Okay, so try to remember this. Whenever you see that dark blue or the navy blue, this is Schlumberger.
Schlumberger.
Yeah, whenever you see this red color, this is Halliburton. So this is this job by Halliburton, without asking any single question. Okay, so thank you, man. So I see a lot of pumps. I see a lot of tanks. Maybe this tanks for water. Maybe this tanks for propane. Maybe this tanks for chemicals. Okay. Also, I will see a lot of. I will see a manifold in the middle. So this is one row of pumps. There is a second row on the other side, and there is a manifold in the middle. A manifold is like a steel tubes, like a group of 4 steel tubes at the top of each other, 2 tubes at the top, 2 tubes at the bottom. We call it manifold. And the function of manifold, it will connect the pumps. It will connect the fluid I get from the pumps to the wellbore. Okay, here is the wellbore. Okay, and also these pumps will take the fluids from the blender. So the blender will give this fluid from the low pressure line to the pumps, and the pumps will increase the pressure and we will return it back to the manifold from the high pressure line, and the high pressure line will go to the wellbore. Okay, so I used to trick my students here and ask them where is the wellhead. Here is pumps, here is pumps, here is the blender. In the other side, here is the manifold in the middle. In the other side, here is the wellhead. Okay. Also, I used to ask them, where is the workover rig? And they keep arguing and discuss it with me. And at the end, the answer is there is no workover rig in the location. This job, we call it rigless operation. It means I will not use a workover rig. I have only a crane. And this crane Crane means winch. Okay, this crane has a long arm, and I will use it instead of a workover plate. So this job we call it regless operation. Okay. Also, I will have a monitoring truck or something we call data van. So each company, Schlumberger or Baker or Halliburton, each company give it a different name. But we can call it like a data van or monitoring van or control truck, or something like that. Okay. And here is we have a blender. That blender will mix the frac fluid with the propellant with the chemical. Okay, here is another picture. The material I'm using fresh water. I'm using KCl. KCl, this is a salt. Okay, you know the salt we eat is sodium chloride, NaCl. So KCl is his brother. They are related. Okay, and I will use guar. Guar is something similar to starch. So guar is like I will get in big sacks, as a powder, and I will mix this guar. Guar is something similar to nisha. Okay, it is not nisha, it is not starch, but I'm saying it is something similar. Okay, so whenever I mix this powder with water, I will get something like similar to milk. If I add to it a chemical called cross-linker, it will be something very, very viscous. Okay, there's a lot of other chemicals we are using. Okay, let's keep it going. Here is a list of the chemicals I may have. So in this case, I have 90% water, more than 90% water. I have about 9% sand. Sand here means propellant. Guys, please don't get confused. This thing, we call it propellant or we call it sand. Okay. And this little thing, something like less than 0.5% is the chemicals I'm using. These chemicals may be scale inhibitor, maybe pH adjusting agent, maybe breaker, maybe cross-linker, maybe ion control, maybe corrosion inhibitor, maybe biocide, maybe acids, maybe friction reducer, maybe surfactant, maybe KCl. So all these things together are less than 0.5% of the frac fluid I'm using. Okay, try to remember this. This is water and KCl and guar and cross-linker. I told you it will be similar to milk. Look the difference between this one in this picture and this one. This is very viscous. This is after we add cross-linker material, cross-linker chemical. Okay, here is the guar, similar to beans, similar to el-fasolia, our food. Okay, so this is similar to beans, and we used to plant this in India. Okay, after you add the cross-linker, this water, this milky shaped water, will become something very viscous like this bit. See how viscous it is? So this is the frac fluid we are using, but this is the frac fluid we are using in conventional reservoirs, like sandstone. So in sandstone formation, I will use frac fluid like this. But if I'm using, if I'm fracking shale, I will use something different, what we call it slick water. And I believe last lecture I explained what is slick water. Okay, I told you, if you break down, if you fracture, if you part the formation into two pieces or fracture the formation, and you stop pumping, the formation will return back again because there's a lot of stresses inside this formation. Okay, so after you stop pumping, to keep this fracture open, you need to inject this propellant with it. We need to inject propan with it. Okay, this is how it looks like. Okay, so after we stop pumping, the formation of the rock will try to close, and the propan will stay in the middle like this picture. And this propan will be very conductive. Okay, so if I ask you what is the function of propan, you should tell me to keep the fracture open after you stop pumping. I have different types and different sizes of propan. 1630, 2040, 3050, 4070. We have different types, and if you want to know what is the difference between them, you can ask me a question in the Q&A section. Again, I'm discussing some stuff quickly because I know this is not a hydraulic fracturing class. This is just an introduction to what we will do in shale, in developing shale. Okay. So, Merna, are you have any questions ready? Thank you very much. This is the end of today's lecture. I will see you again on Tuesday. Don't forget that.
Thank you, Dr. Ahmed, very much. Okay, can we answer the questions in the Q&A section?
Okay, so you don't want to select, you want to ask me all of them? Okay, no problem. I can go and check because sometimes, okay. Sometimes a lot of questions, not technical questions.
Yes. There's a question. The effect of rock mechanical properties on fracture conductivity.
Okay, this is very interesting question. So guys, so Merna, please keep trying to find technical questions until I finish answering this. Okay. So mechanical properties has a very close relation with fracture. Okay, so for example, if I'm telling you I have a formation, that formation or that rock has very high Young's modulus. Okay, so if I have a very high Young's modulus, and Young's modulus and Poisson's ratios, both are mechanical properties. Okay, so if I have high Young's modulus, I know that whenever I will frag this formation, I will get a very narrow fracture. So the fracture will be very narrow. If the Young's modulus is low, let's say less than 1 million psi, the fracture will be a little bit wider. So this is a mechanical property, and the mechanical property is, has a very close relation between, as I told you, I know I want to predict the dimension of that fracture. I want to know using a software what should be the fracture length, half length, what should be the fracture height, what should be the fracture width, for example. Okay, and mechanical properties like Young's modulus and Poisson's ratio has very close relation with that. And I give you an example. If I have high Young's modulus, I'm expecting to have a narrow fracture. I will not say longer fracture or shorter fracture because we need to consider also the height. But anyway, I will get a narrower fracture if I have higher Young's modulus and wider fracture if I have lower Young's modulus. Mariana, do we have more questions?
Yes, it's a lot of questions. Okay, the second question, could a formation damage occur in front of a horizontal way of drilling? And if so, what is the solution?
All the drilling operation will cause a formation damage. So whenever you drill the reservoir section, 100% you made a formation damage. Okay, because the drilling fluid will invade the reservoir maybe for a few inches, maybe for sometimes this, the invasion is like maybe 1 inch, sometimes 2, sometimes 3, so it's different. Okay, we are trying to keep it shallower as possible, but again, the drilling engineer, all what he wanna do, or what is in his focus is to drill the well, no matter if he's damaging the reservoir or not. And later, the production engineer and the reservoir engineer will try to fix the problems happen during drilling. So we fix that. Mainly, we can use acids to fix that. We can do acid wash. okay? Or we can inject some acids to dissolve this drilling fluids, the remaining of the solids from the drilling fluids. Or I can use any chemical will dissolve these things, okay? Or I will ignore the formation damage and go ahead and do hydraulic fracturing, and I will do bypassing to the formation damage. I wish this answered the question.
Yeah, it's very good. Okay, Ahmed Fathi asked, what is meant by instantaneous shut-in pressure?
Okay, so I try to not to go quickly in these things, but if you ask, I should answer you. Okay, so starting from this point, look to the mouse. I'm injecting now in a high rate, and the bottom hole pressure keep increasing. To this point, this is the highest pressure ever I'm getting, okay? Now I'm breaking the formation. Now the formation become two pieces. Then at this point, I will stop pumping. So whenever you stop pumping, okay, I will call it, this is I'm stop pumping, but I will not consider this is my instantaneous shut-in pressure, ISIP. This is instantaneous shut-in pressure. It means this is the response of the pressure after I stop pumping, okay? But a second question, why I did not get this point here exactly at the point I stop pumping? Because there's a friction inside the system. Whenever you are injecting, there's a friction inside the tubing, there's a friction inside the perforation, there's a friction inside the formation itself, what we call it tortuosity friction. And these three types of friction, I need to wait a little, a second after I stop pumping and consider this point, this is instantaneous shut-in pressure, after removing the friction pressure. So the difference between this point, look to the mouse, this point, and this point, this is the friction inside the system. So I will get my instantaneous shut-in pressure here, because now I removed the friction from my calculation. Also, I can use this technique to calculate, to get an estimate about the friction inside the system. I wish this was helpful to you.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Ahmed. There's another question from Abdul Wahab asked, how to determine the critical point of hydraulic fracturing?
See it again, I did not get that. How to determine the critical what?
Point of hydraulic fracturing.
Okay, this point, the critical, this is, I'm not sure if you mean this point, the breakdown pressure point, or you mean something else. But assuming you mean the breakdown pressure, I see it in the monitoring track. In the monitoring track, I see the pressure curve keep increasing, and at a point, it will start to get down. So at that point, at the top of it, this is the breakdown pressure. So easily to we recognize it because we see it in from the computer screen. So when you inject, you see the pressure keep increasing to a point, then it start to go down. The top point of that pressure, this is the breakdown pressure. So this is maybe the easiest thing we can get during the job. I wish I understood the question right.
Okay, and the last question. Please repeat, explain slide 26, Dr. Ahmed.
Say it again.
Explain slide 26, please.
26?
Yes. Slide 26.
Oh, slide 26. I'm sorry. Okay, this is very important for anyone who want to understand the concept of hydraulic fracturing. Guys, everybody know what is a highway. Highway is طريق سريع, طريق ما فيهوش إشارات مرور. It is a highway, so you can drive your car above more than 100 kilometers per hour. No one will stop you, right? Okay, so the highway, this is a hydraulic fracture. The hydraulic fracture is a highway for hydrocarbon, for oil and gas and water. Okay, so any fluid inside your reservoir, if you have a hydraulic fracture, and that hydraulic fracture, maybe each side has 500 feet length, or 400 feet length, or 300 feet length, something like that. Okay, so any hydrocarbon will reach any part of that hydraulic fracture, will go immediately through this high conductive propellant to the wellbore, and whenever the hydrocarbon or the water reach the wellbore, it will get produced to the surface. Correct? So this slide showing you that I'm having formation damage here, maybe because of the drilling, maybe because of something else. But I ignored this damage. I don't want to fix it. I will keep it as it is, and I will build my new highway. And I will use this highway to go from any place inside the formation to the wellbore. Guys, let's say when I was in Egypt, I used to live in Al-Ahram Street. Okay, so my apartment was in Al-Ahram Street or Al-Haram Street. Okay, and every day I used to work in Al-Maadi. So every day I need to go from my home to Al-Maadi, which is a long distance, and the places in the middle are very crowded. There's a lot of cars in the middle. Okay, so the easy way to go from my home to my workplace is to wake up very early and take the ring road. I will take the الطريق الدائري. If I wake up very early and I will take that highway, that ring road, which it will be empty or almost empty, and I can go from Al-Haram Street to Al-Maadi in 20 minutes. If I will wake up late and I want to use the normal roads, I will take 2 hours. Make sense? So here is that highway or that ring road, or call it whatever you want. This is a hydraulic fracture. Hydraulic fracture is a very, very conductive road, and the hydrocarbon can take it from any place inside the reservoir and go directly in a very short time to the wellbore. Okay, and whenever we use hydraulic fracturing, it is not important to fix the formation damage. So if I will take the ring road or the highway, I don't care if the inside the city it is crowded or not. I will not go through that way, so I don't care. I know that my highway is open to me. I can drive whatever fast I want, and I will use it. I'm not sure if you got what I mean or not, but you know, do you like to explain it in Arabic? What do you think? So let's talk in a minute in Arabic. So الهيدروليك فراكشر أنا بعمل طريق جديد. الهيدروكربون أو الووتر أو أي فلويد انسايد جوه الريزرفوار ممكن تاخده وتمشي في الطريق السريع ده من أي مكان جوه الريزرفوار بتاعي، اللي هو ممكن يكون على بعد 500 قدم أو 400 قدم، وتمشي بسرعة لأن البروبان ده كوندكتيف جدا، وتوصل بسرعة للويلبور، وبعد كده أقدر أعمل لها برودكشن. في الحالة دي أنا ما اهتمتش إن أنا أصلح الفورميشن دامج اللي موجود هنا، لأن أنا عامل طريق جديد. يعني أنا بدل ما أمشي من جوه القاهرة اللي هي زحمة، عملت طريق دائري بمشي فيه، والطريق الدائري بيكون فاضي، أو عملت هاي واي طريق سريع والطريق السريع ده بيكون فاضي، فأنا مش محتاج إن أنا أمشي من جوه القاهرة أو من جوه اسكندرية أو من جوه أي مدينة زحمة. I wish this was helpful. So Myrna, do we have any more questions?
Just last question.
Go ahead.
Okay. What is difference between acidulation and fracture acidulation?
Acidizing and fracture acidizing. Okay, so let me explain it. It's a very good question. So Guys, you know hydraulic fraction. Hydraulic fraction, I'm injecting a fluid in a high rate, and this high rate or this fluid will build a pressure, and this pressure will break down, will hammer the formation and crack it and make it two parts. So I'm doing this using a frac fluid. So I would call this hydraulic fraction. If I'm doing hydraulic fracturing, but I'm using acid like HCl, for example, if I'm using acid to frac the formation, I will call this acid fracturing. So acid fracturing is a hydraulic frac job, but using acid fluid instead of using a normal frac fluid. And in this case, I will not use propane. So in acid fracturing, I will not use propane, but it is a long story because maybe we need to explain this in a lecture, not in a couple of minutes. So maybe in the future, I will do 1 or 2 lectures about acidizing, and you can attend them. But acid fracturing, the main difference, I will frac the formation using acid similar to HCl, for example. I wish this was helpful. So Myrna, do we have any more questions, or we need to, or we can go ahead and close the session?
No.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. I will see you again on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Egypt time. Today we will post you the 2 lectures on YouTube, and we will post you the 2 quizzes. So please, tomorrow try to watch the 2 lectures and do the quizzes. And best of luck. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ahmed, very much.